Hi everyone, today we're going to be factorizing quadratics using the trial and error method. So before we get started, there's another method that doesn't require trial and error. If you want to look at that method, look at one of my other videos. So let's have a look at this first one. Factorize x squared plus 10x plus 16. Well, firstly, we need two numbers that multiply together to get 16. So they have a product of 16 and they need to add together to 10. So they need to have a sum of 10. Once we have those two numbers, then it's just a matter of putting them into our little factorized form. I should note before we start this that this is only for monic. Well, not only for monic quadratics, but if they're non-monic, that means that there's a number that's in front of this x squared value. So it could be 10x squared, it could be 4x squared, pick your number. But there's a slightly different process for that. Okay, now let's list out the factors of 16. So I'm going to do that over here. Factors of 16. Well, 1 times 16 is 16. Negative 1 times negative 16 is 16. And you'll see why I'm introducing the negatives as well in the second example. 2 times 8 and 4 times 4. Okay, now you could do this in a different colored pen, or you could write out a new table if you like. So I've just looked at the factors of 16. Now I want to not actually write out what they multiply to, but I want to know what they add to, so what their sum is. So in the first example, we've got a positive 1 and a positive 16. So 1 plus 16 is 17. Next example, negative 1 minus 16 is negative 17. In the next example, 2 plus 8 is 10. And the last one, 4 plus 4 is 8. Now, if we remember, we wanted a product of 16, which all of these factors have a product of 16, and we wanted a sum of 10. So now we can use our sum column and we figure out that our two numbers are going to be 2 and 8. That's why I've kind of written it like that. So if I come back over to the original question, I'm going to write this in the form of two brackets, two sets of brackets right next to each other without any operations in between. So they would be products. So those two brackets are multiplying each other. We're using x, so I'm going to have an x, and now I write in my two products that we found. So we found that positive 2 times positive 8 gave us 16, and 2 plus 8 gave us 10. So because it's a positive 2, I'm going to write plus 2. Because it's a positive 8, I'm going to write plus 8. And that's our factorized form. If you expand all that out, you would get x squared plus 8x plus another 2x plus 16. And then the next line would be 2x plus 8x is 10x. So I'm not going to write all that out, but if you wanted to expand it and check that you're correct, that's something that you could do. Next example. Again, we want to have a product of 3 this time. You've got to be careful. Sometimes the quadratics aren't always in the form of x squared and then x and then the constant. Sometimes the numbers are switched around, so be careful of that. And we want to have a sum of negative 4 this time. Sum of negative 4. Okay, now let's list out the products, or the factors rather. So factors of 3. Well, 1 times 3 is 3. -1 times -3 is 3, and that's all the factors that I can think of. We don't want decimals or anything like that, we just want whole numbers. Now next line we're going to have the sum of these. So +1 plus +3 is 4, -1 minus 3 is -4. So remember what we wanted. We wanted a product of 3 and a sum of -4. So we want this example down here. The two factors are going to be -1 and -3. So back to my original question. First bracket, it doesn't matter which one you put first, the -1 or the -3. So we're going to put x minus 1, second bracket, x minus 3, and that is my factorized form of that quadratic. The numbers are going to change. The process is exactly the same for all of these. You don't have to do it in a table like this. You can do it in whatever way suits you best. I like to try and be a little bit systematic with it. You're going to find you're going to run into some difficulties with positive and negatives, especially when the factors, one of them is going to be positive and one of them is negative. So just keep on trying until you get the two numbers that fit what you want.